As the old saying goes, it's Friday. You ain't got no job. You ain't got no shit to do. Well, for me, I do got some things to do, which means review for you guys. So today, we're going to be doing, of course, not only AEW Rampage and NXT Level Up, we're also going to be doing the GCW World on Lucha, which is one of the shows that I haven't seen from the GCW Collective. This is one of the last two that I haven't seen just yet, but I'll finish with the rest as soon as possible. But we also got a couple of news updates to tell what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling, such as what matches and who's going to be booked in what promotion and the whole enchilada. So let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to the Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, let's begin with GCW with part of the collective Gringo Locos The World on Lucha. Now, this is an event where Gringo Loco brings in a lot of the luchadors from Mexico or anywhere he can find. Pretty good show as always. If you guys are big fans of the lucha libre stuff, like I have been since I was growing up, so let's get started. Our first match, as always, we have a scramble match. We have Bobby Flacco versus Mago versus Jack Cartwheel versus You're Fucking with the Different Boyd, Jimmy Lloyd, and of course we have Shane Mercer and finally Willie Mack. Now, we have seen these scramble matches, how they turn out every single time. It's unpredictable because you don't know how it's going to end. Now, Jimmy Lloyd has been one of those guys that won the scramble matches on various occasions. But I was pretty much impressed with, of course, Jack Cartwheel picking up the win when he applied like a corkscrew spiral roll or whatever they call it onto Mago to pick up the win. So, pretty good win by him. Next up, we've got La Luchadoras. We have Sexy Star, the new and improved one. She takes on Dulce Tormenta. Man, what a good match. Um, I think it was a pretty good match, but it ended with, of course, Dulce Tormenta applied a package pile driver, which ended the whole thing, giving her the win. Next up, we have a six-man tag team match. We have Latigo, Aries, and Black Taurus taking on Aramis, Ray Horace, and Commander. Yeah. Now, this is probably one of the best matches of the night because you know it's going to be a lot of heists flying everywhere. That's always been the most excitement parts when you watch Lucha Libre because you know they're gonna fly, you know they're gonna do some crazy stunts. That's how it rolls. So I didn't know how this was gonna turn out. Now, in the past, I have seen Latigo and Black Taurus pick up wins, but it was in fact a shooting star by Commander. You know, the same kind of move that he does when he runs up the rope halfway through. Then boom, shooting star, it's over. So he did that by pinning Aries. 1, 2, 3, it is over. Next up, we have Los Macizos taking on La Familia de Tijuana. We're talking about Damien 666 and his son, Bestia 666. Yeah, so basically, this is a pretty good match. You know, don't forget Damien 666 is a true innovator in extreme wrestling, basically using all hardcore stuff, toys, kendo sticks, chairs, all of that, which of course would fit in perfectly in this type of match. But there was a moment Damien misfired the mist on his own son that really, really sucked. But they were able to apply what was it? Um, a Cyclops was able to apply a somewhat of a submission onto um onto Damien, and then boom, it was over just like that. So I don't know exactly. No, he did like a somewhat of a bulldog off the turnbuckle, like they did with the Steiner Bros. My bad, my nose are kind of fuzzy on that and on through the door. But it did give, of course, Los Macizos the win. Next up, the biggest a-hole in GCW, Tony Deppen taking on a legend. We're talking about Negro Casas. Now, you probably think in your minds, somehow this a-hole is going to pick up a win by cheating. But you have to admit, Negro Casas, he's a veteran of the game. He knows exactly what to do. But there was a lot of submission techniques being applied in this match. But what I did like is how, of course, the infamous La Casita made by Negro Casas to pick up the win. And Tony Deppen cannot believe he lost, but he acted like a little crybaby. You know those type you see on TV? They're like, yeah, 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 yeah. He was like that. He was being a crybaby because he lost. So, so that's how it is. I mean, we often wonder. We know he's always happy when he wins, but how does he look like when he's pissed that he lost? Well, there's your answer. He acts like a crybaby. Now, our next match, this one is a rematch between Gringo Loco and Psycho Clown. Now, these two guys had their match before Psycho Clown picked up the win. However, Gringo Loco has been asking for this rematch for some time, and it took a bit of while to get it done. But this one became a false count anywhere. This is where, of course, both these men would attempt to kill each other to pick up a win. But Gringo Loco was like already bleeding up. Psycho Clown's mask was already ripped off. But however, this match ended with a referee's decision. Something happened. There was a moment where, of course, there was like a Spanish fly made, but what's his name? Psycho Clown acted like he was extremely hurt, like he couldn't go on. So I couldn't tell, but it looked more like the ref called it, like it was done, just like that. It's still unclear what happened, but I hope he's okay. But now it's like in this matter of the story, it's more like now they're tied 1-1. I think we may see another match somewhere down the line between these two, but one of them has to pick up the win. That is something we have to wait. But I haven't heard anything yet about Psycho Clown's injuries. Now, our main event, we have Laredo Kid taking on Hijo del Vikingo. Another good match. Definitely, where you can see a lot of spots. But in this case, Laredo Kid became el, how do I say, el rudo, or the heel in this particular match. So it kind of became like that. Even though Laredo Kid is very talented in the ring, what he does, doing high flying. But we all know Hijo del Vikingo, he's a much more crazier guy to do that. But he did apply the 630 onto Laredo Kid to pick up the win. So I have to say, this was a pretty good show to enjoy. I think we're done now with this particular one with GCW. Let's move on with AEW Rampage. Okay, AEW Rampage opened up with Bullet Club Gold, consistent of Juice Robinson and, of course, the debut of Jay White, who, as you all know, he is now officially All Elite. They take on against Sean Spears and Absolute Ricky Starks. Now, this particular feud between Starks and Juice Robinson goes a long way. Basically, Juice Robinson decided to make a statement on the expense of Starks, and of course, when when Jay White shows up, things got a little differently. But of course, Sean Spears gets involved in all this, playing games. But he did stated that him and Starks are not, buddies or by any means necessary, but they do need each other to deal with these guys. I mean, it was all feuds in some point. But unfortunately, Sean Spears ended up on the wrong side of the Blade Runner, giving Bullet Club Gold their first win. But however, this feud between Starks and Juice Robinson is not even done just yet. Now, during an interview, the Hardys, Jeff and Matt, and along with Hook, were looking for Isaiah Cassidy's, but apparently they figured that someone took them, and of course, it was the Firm. So they're demanding to know when are they going to have this match at the Hardy compound. But apparently, of course, the Firm tossed Isaiah Cassidy from a high altitude really hard. So basically, this is going to be a big feud, and sooner or later, the Firm's going to be delete. Now, our next match, we have Naturally Limitless, Dustin Rhodes, and Keith Lee taking on Brady Pierce, Charlie James. I think this was a very good match of a warm up for both Lee and Rhodes because, they're very interesting. But I did like how Keith Lee tossed Dustin to Pierce and James just like that. But of course, it was the Spirit Bomb by Lee to James to pick up the win. However, in the post match, we saw um, the Mogul Embassy making their presence known. This feud between Lee and Dustin Rhodes is not even over against them, so we'll see what takes place. Now, through another interview with Sammy Guevara, as we know he will be teaming with MJF this coming Wednesday. But however, Sammy Guevara's wife, Ty Mello, is concerned. Now, she is trying to reason with her husband. We all know MJF, he's a piece of garbage from the way he acts. But she tries to tell him not to trust him. Because here's the thing. We know that MJF will do whatever it takes to ensure the title stays where it is. So basically, Sammy has to make a right decision. I mean, Ty is only looking what's best for him, but the obvious question, will he listen to his wife? Well, we'll see what happens then. Now, our next match, we have Anna Jay versus Ashley DeBronze. You can guess that this match ended with Anna Jay applying the Queenslayer, but, of course, the feud between her and Julia Hart rages on. It could keep continuing. So I don't think this is going to stop. So basically, it's going to be a big, big, big brawl with them. Now, we do get a little video promo package by, of course, the Outcast, sending a direct message to, of course, Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter. Now, as you know, their true goal is to, make AEW their house, and not to mention obtain the AEW Women's Championship. That is something that is still a goal, but we'll see what happens since then. Our next match, this was a very quick one. We have Daddy Ass, Billy Gunn, and The Acclaim taking on Ryzen, Dante Casanova, and Cameron Stewart. This match ended quickly with the mic drop by Max, and it ended like that. So I think we're okay with it. Now, our main event, we have Jay Lethal versus Cash Wheeler of FTR, while Mark Briscoe is the special enforcer. Now, we all know Jay Lethal, along with his cohorts, Jeff Jarrett, Singh, and Sanjay Dutt, decided to make a play for the AEW tag team titles. Now, I knew this was going to go where they're going to try to cheat their way through to screw FTR to ensure they get an opportunity for the tag titles. But there was a moment where that weasel, Sanjay Dutt, shoved Cash Wheeler to Mark Briscoe and costing the match. But we all know there's no way that the FTR is just going to lose the tag titles that quickly, because last time they didn't get the titles. So this is going to be interesting. But the obvious thing is, will Mark Briscoe realize that they're just using him for their expense? I mean, FTR, they don't use that on Mark Briscoe because they respect him too much because of the great matches they had. We'll see what takes place. But right now, let's move on to our final review, which is NXT Level Up. Okay, so who levels up on this latest episode of NXT Level Up? Let's find out. Our opening match, we have Tyler Bate taking on Luca Crucifino, who is a so-called lawyer. Now, we know this is a perfect opportunity for Tyler Bate to build back up, since we know he had some unsuccessful matches on the NXT brand. But let's see how Luca did. But I don't think it did work either way until, of course, the big, strong boy applied the Tyler Driver 97. Well, I guess the attorney needs to go back to the drawing board and get himself an attorney for himself. Now, we do get an interview with Kelly Kincaid with the team up for the first time ever, Tank Ledger and Hank Walker. I have to say, this is a very interesting combination, but they will be part of the main event where they face off the Dyad. Now, this next match, I have to say, this one was a very impressive match. Ivy Now versus Lola Vice. Now, these two ladies, they have backgrounds in MMA. You know for a fact they're going to tear the house down. So I have to say, this is one of those matches where I feel like Lola Vice really put Ivy Now to the limits. Now, we all seen how impressive Ivy Now really is. But at some point, we do see wrestlers who, in fact, can be a bit more challenging for Ivy Nile. So I have to say, this is one of those matches we can say, yes, Lola Vice really put up hell of a fight and really pushed Ivy Now to the limit until, unfortunately, Ivy Now applied the infamous Dragon Sleeper and forced her to tap out. I think this was a very impressive win. Now, our main event is, of course, we have the Dyad, Rip Fowler and Jagger Reed taking on Hank Walker and Tank Ledger. I have to say, the combination between both Walker and Ledger was impressive. I mean, we have seen when it comes to tag teaming, like, we know the Dyad, they've been together for a long time, prior before they became the Dyad. But Ledger and Walker, this is a different story. They're just been posted together, and I think they were very impressive as a tag team. But the obvious thing, could they pick up a win against these guys? I mean, we all know the Dyad are dying to get another opportunity of the NXT tag team titles. Well, apparently, that's exactly what they did when, of course, Fowler pinned Ledger, giving them the win. So this is a huge statement for the Dyad just before they get an opportunity for the tag team titles. But that's all in Joe Gacy's hands when he takes on Mark Coffey. So I think that's pretty much it with all the reviews right here. So let's move on with news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news updates. So let's get started. For our GCW updates, for the upcoming event on the 26th of May for Lifestyle, the GCW Ultraviolet Championship will be defended. Rina Yamashita returns. She takes on Ratty Daddy Cole Radrick. Now, for our Cage of Survival, which takes place on the 17th of June, Rina Yamashita will be my bad. Mike Bailey will be taking place. So this is going to be huge. Now, for the Thank Me Later show in Los Angeles, Rina Yamashita returns. Now, it's still unclear whether she will still be the Ultraviolet champion, but we'll see. But another match was added for this particular day in GCW for Thank Me Later. We have the King, the leader of the MDK gang, Nick Gage, taking on Zack Sabre Jr. I think this is going to be huge. I'm definitely going to be looking forward to this. As you know, Chris Brooks has now announced for another Baka Gaijin and Friends. This is Volume 5 that will take place in May on the 23rd. However, he did announce who will be participating for the very, very first time in this awesome show. He's going to have Mecha Mummy, Hagane Shino, and of course, the resident Tokyo Yoshi Pro Wrestling superhero, Hyper Misawa. So these three are first timers. So I like to see what they're going to do. Now, speaking of Tokyo Pro Wrestling, it was announced that Hikaru Nikari Noah will be now involved in a death match at the promotion against Soyorek. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. This is not the type of thing that they normally do. If you guys been aware of Hikari Noah for a while, she's always been a fan of death matches before going to Tokyo Pro Wrestling. But this is a good thing. We know she has been in a hardcore match with Rina Yamashita about maybe a year or two ago or so, but it was a good match. Nonetheless, it's going to be interesting. Her opponent is none other than Sawyer Rack. That's going to be interesting to watch. But they will broadcast that show at another time. They're not going to do it on the day it's being running. DEFY Wrestling has announced a huge debut coming in June for Your Nightmare. Kenta makes his debut in DEFY Wrestling. Combat Zone Wrestling will be making a European excursion. So, if you guys are big fans of Combat Zone Wrestling, it was already announced that they'll be making their time in Europe. However, they didn't announce that 11 of their members from the roster will be going to do this excursion in June. They're asking any UK promotions if they really want to book them around this time. All their shows will take place in Germany. We know that WXW is amongst them, so if you're big fans of that, then you guys know where it's gonna go. Fightful Select reports something that Booker T said. I don't know how you guys would feel about this, but he said he believes that there should be a mid-card championship for the women's division. How do you guys feel about that? I mean, I don't know. I mean, we already seen with AEW, they have like two, the TBS and the women's championship. I don't know, but we'll see. I don't know if you guys are cool with that. Progress Wrestling announced this by Nigel McGuinness that the Super Strong Style 16 entrant will be none other than the Prince of the Pacific Northwest, Nick Gage. So this is going to be good. Wrestling Observer has reported 8 WWE women have now been injured. This is the same problem. We have all of them torn their ACLs. Now, this is a problem. Now, recently some fans are saying, wait a minute. 8 women are out with ACLs? So the obvious question, how in the effing hell did that happen? Well, according to what they reports, this was the blame on the coach who decided to focus on strength and conditioning. Now, the previous coach they had focused on athletic drills, cardio, and explosiveness. Now, we got to ask, is this whole thing with strength and conditioning working? I like to say no, but hopefully they can try to fix this, because this is only these are, I mean, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Now, if you're big fans of Women World Pro Wrestling Diana, you may have heard or not that we have a brand new world champion, and that is, of course, Hakuda Umasaki, who defeated Ayako Sato. As you know, she was previously a tag team champion. She and Miyuki Takase lost the belts to Spice App with Maika Ozaki and Tai Hamna. And now she's chasing, and then she chased this belt. So she just recently won this belt on the 29th. So this is very, very interesting. Colors member Rina Amikura has now been. They're going to celebrate her next month on the 6th of May, her 5th year anniversary. However, as you know, she is the Colors champion. She has a couple opponents she has to go through. I'm not sure exactly. This is who we have, how this is going to go, but who they have: Coyote Yanayama, Tai Hamna, Momotani, Kakeru Sekiguchi, and of course, what's her name? Riko Kawahara. So we'll see which one of them will be able to dethrone her, or of course, what's her name? Rina Amikura remains as the Colors champion. Sparks Yoshi Pure of America has announced Rina Yamashita will no Miyu Yamashita from Tokyo Show Pro Wrestling will be making appearances at both their shows, the Ignite East and West. Now for the East will be on the 11th in Newark, New Jersey, and on the West will be on the 16th in LA at the West Covina, California, which is the county of LA. So if you guys are anywhere near the area, then you guys know. Wrestling Revolvers announced for the Ring of Destiny, Billy Starks returns. I think we're all going to be excited for that. Now, finally, the most important rule news you may or may not have heard that Japan has now lifted their COVID restrictions. So basically, we're no longer going to be seeing where tests being done and all this. This is huge news, because we know there are a lot of people that will love to travel to Japan, especially wrestlers here in the U.S. that are going to be wrestling back and forth in Japan. And I think that's a good thing now that it's being lifted. Seems things are getting back to normal little by little. So we'll see what happens then. And I think that's pretty much it what we have. So let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everyone enjoys this episode. Coming up, we do have a New Japan show coming up, the Choco Pro, NWA USA. Haven't decided if there's anything else I want to put in. I know I've got one more of the GCW Collected to be done, and then I still got more of the GCW stuff. As we speak, we have the Stardom start of the Golden Week. One of the matches I'm kind of more curious is Cosmic Angels and Club Venus. I know for a fact there's going to be a lot of talk about that. But also, as we speak, Unagi Sayako is going to be in one of her biggest matches ever against Kyoko Inoue, the founder of Diana. So I'm looking forward to hear about that. But I think that's pretty much it what we're going to do. So we'll see what happens for the next episode. But for now, I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day.